Hi everyone, and welcome to this video in relation to sport and exercise psychology. These videos are created to help you guys if you are studying BTEC level 3 or NCFE level 3 sport. So what we're going to be looking at in today's lecture is personality and its link to sports performance. So let's start off by looking at what we're going to be discussing in today's. We're going to be looking at Martin's systematic view, the trait theory, situational theory, the interactional theory, social learning theory, and finally the psychodynamic theory. Each of these theories are going to be explained, and we are going to be trying to put them into a bit more of a real life context for you. So think about this first of all. What can you tell me in regards to what you think sports psychology is? Can it really affect our performance within sport? And can we predict if our personality can have a direct effect on our performance within sport? And I would like you to pause the video and have a think about it. So again, research into sports psychology is attempted to ask some of the following questions below. So again, can sports excellence be predicted by assessing someone's personality? Well, yes it can. Are certain personality types attracted to certain sports? Yes, but not necessarily. It can also mean that they can be attracted to different sports. And does sports change a performer's personality? It actually can. So, what is personality? So this is a sum of characteristics that make a person unique. So it makes you and who you are. So how does personality affect performance in sport? Well, we're going to look at the different views that came out to discuss this very topic. So we've got, like I've said, Martin's systematic view, trait theory, situational theory, interactional, social learning, and psychodynamic. So if we look at, first of all, Martin's systematic view, this is also used within just psychology itself. And this is an interactional approach. And what they say is that we have these layers, and the core is the real you and your real personality. And at the core, it can tend to be masked due to other theories that come in later. The conscious control of our role-related behaviour is changeable. So let's take a look at this diagram. So the psychological core is, like we said, our true beliefs, our values and our attitudes, so who we truly are. But they say we tend to mask this type of personality, and it's a typical response, which is the next section. And this means that we're calm, aggressive and stable, so these are how we respond to situations. And then finally we look at the top layer that actually says buried on top of your core personality is what we call a role related behaviours, and these are changing your personality due to external factors. We've got here students, friends and sons. Now, for example, if you are what's considered to be a shy person inside, that is no reason that it's going to stop you becoming a sports coach, because we can change our personalities due to the situation that we're in. So because we're now a sports coach, we've been employed as a sports coach, even though secretly quite deep down we're quite shy, we will tend to be acting more confident because that is the role that we're in, and that's the role it needs us to play. And that is what Martin's systematic view discusses. So at the bottom is our true core values and beliefs, but at the top is our role related behaviour. So we change our personalities to suit the situations that we're in. We can see that our true personalities may come out if you are starting a new role in a specific new environment. Your true personality might break through, but as you start to get settled into that new employment, your role or your personality will change to the role that you are employed to do. Think about your personality, and does it change, and when in different roles? If so, does it change and why, or are you still the same? So the trait theory is certain characteristics that we can or will determine how a person will behave and perform in sports and non-sporting situations. This theory suggests that there are actually two types of people. These are the introverts and the extroverts, and we'll be going through these two types now. So, the other question that I want to ask first of all is, can this be true? Look at two sports professionals and think about what types of personalities they have. Then look at the sports that they play, and does this actually link with their personality? So if you want to, you can go wait till we start talking a bit more about the two different types of personalities, then think of a sports performer, think about the sport that they play, and think about, does that reflect on the personality that they're portraying? And again, an example here is, if we look at a snooker player, very, very, very on their own, doing their own thing, and an example of Ronnie O'Sullivan, they would consider this person to be an introvert, so again quite shy, doesn't really want to interact with anybody else. And then we've got someone like Mr. Wayne Rooney, and again he would be considered to be an extrovert because again he's playing a team sport, he's working with other people, so he must have that confidence to work with other people. And that's what they're trying to say. If on that trait theory you split into two characteristics, an introvert or an extrovert, an introvert, quite shy, would tend to play an individual sport where they don't have to interact with teammates. An extrovert is an outgoing person who's confident and would quite happily work with teammates. The situational approach is the next following approach that looks at a person's personality based on the situation that they are actually put into. So again, using this theory, could you think of a situation that could affect or determine someone's personality? So again, if we are placed into a situation we find uncomfortable, then our personalities will change to be someone who's quiet and shy. And another example that I give you there, from out of a sporting context, if you start a new employment in a new job, you don't know anyone, again you're quite nervous, even though normally you are an extrovert, you're an outgoing person, you're quite confident, because you're now placed in a situation that you don't know and quite anxious at this time, you could revert to be an introvert personality. So again, you become quite shy. So again, if we're placed in a situation that we enjoy, our personalities will be more confident, outgoing and happy. So if we put you into a situation that you're going to enjoy, you're going to be that more that extrovert. If we put you in a situation that you don't enjoy, you're going to become an introvert. And that's what we're trying to say here. So depending on the situation that you're in will determine whether or not you're an introvert or an extrovert. Have a think about it. Do you think that occurs? Next, we've got the interactional theory. This is the most accepted by many sports psychologists. This theory considers that a behaviour is best understood by looking at a person's factors, the situational factors, and the interaction between the two. So again, what we mean by here is a player who may be shy in an everyday situation may run screaming towards a crowd when they've scored the winning goal, because what we're looking at is that person's personal factors but the situation as well that they're put into. So even though they're quite shy, because they enjoy that situation that they're in, could lead them to be quite outgoing. Then we've got the social learning theory. This theory states that the personality is not a stable characteristic and is always changing due to the results of experiences and different social situations. So again, take it out of a sports context and think about it. Has your personality ever changed due to a positive or a negative situation, and has it had an impact on how your personality is to date? If a college rugby team was so what we've got here is if a college rugby team was in the international players shouting verbal abuse at their opposition, they may shout verbal towards their own opposition as well. Moving on very swiftly to the psychodynamic theory, this approach to personality is made up of what we call the conscious and unconscious parts of our personality. The first part is called the ID, and this stands for the instinctive drive, and this is part of your unconsciousness, so we're not really aware of it, but it is what actually drives us to do the things that we do. The second part is our ego, and again this is the conscious part of this theory. And then the final part is what we call your superego, which is your moral compass. So again, knowing what's right and what's wrong. And again, this is controlled by conscious thought, because we do think about what's right and what's wrong. So which theory would you think is most reliable and why? If you are looking at this for an assignment, then think about it this way. If you're going for a pass, you're just telling me what I've just told you. You're just explaining what those theories are and how they're used. You're just telling me what those theories are. If you're going for a merit, higher grades, you are then explaining this in more detail. So again, giving examples of how this theory is used. And finally, on this section here where it says discussion, think about it. This is actually your distinction level, because what you are doing is you are identifying which you think is the most reliable and why. So you're telling me, out of those theories that I've discussed within this video, which one would you be leaning more to use in an aspect of sports performance? Remember to link this to athletes we have discussed. What does each module tell? Which does each model tell us about their personalities? So again, what is those specific theories trying to say about how personalities is defined? So you're breaking it down even more. You're telling me this is what the theory is, this is what they're saying a personality would look like, and then compare them between the two. You might actually think that some of these theories almost interlink to one another. So again, think about the situation approach, think about the trait theory. So trait theory suggests we're an introvert and an extrovert, and then the situational theory suggests that actually it's dependent on the situation that we're put in. So the situations you put in can determine what type, whether you're shy or outgoing. Does that not have a direct link with introverts and extroverts? So if you're doing that and thinking about it and go, well, actually I agree with this theory, and you explain why you are agreeing with this theory, you are analysing that theory. And if you compare it to another theory and say, actually, this is why I agree with the situational theory more than the psychodynamic theory, because it's better representation and we can see it in everyday sporting performance or even everyday activities, you are analysing those theories and you are coming to draw your own conclusion. And that is what we ask you for in distinction levels. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's helped you understand a little bit more about personalities in regards to the different theories that are out there. We have also going to be looking at, in the next couple of videos, or the videos that are on this YouTube channel, we'll be looking at things like motivation. We are looking at arousal, aggression and barriers within sports psychology, and also looking at psychological factors that affect people within psychology.